Hello and welcome to my vintage audiophile channel. This is the 9th video in my series of reviews on older and sometimes newer stereo equipment. Today I'm going to be discussing the Panasonic SG-V300 all-in-one stereo system that came out in 1983. As you can see, I am using my standard JBL speakers for this system. That is because I do not have the original speakers anymore. They have gotten destroyed, so they are no longer with me, but the JBLs more than make up for it. Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, even into the 90s, this type of thing was readily available because it was a real space saver, and that trend still holds true today. For those people who are in a small apartment or in a dorm room, this makes the perfect type of stereo to have. Even though it's almost 40 years old, it still plays perfectly, which attests to the build quality of it. I'm going to turn it on here so you can see what we have. Right now I do not have the volume turned up, so I don't violate any copyright rules, but right now the radio is on and it's on FM. You can see the red indicator showing that there's a station tuned in and it's an FM stereo. One thing that really amazes me to this day is the fact that the receiver section tuner in this particular model is better than just about anything that is made today. It is so sensitive that I can get practically every station I can think of, plus others that I never even knew existed, all without even having an antenna hooked up to it. Right now there's nothing on the back for either FM or AM. Same thing with AM. If you push this in here, the AM/FM selector, that light goes out because it's no longer an FM stereo, but it is on AM, and I can get tons of stations on there, whereas a lot of the newer receivers and tuners, you can't get hardly anything on AM anymore. This one you can. I'll put it back on FM here. Beside that button here is the loudness button, which definitely does work. Definitely adds a lot of bass to the system. Here's the volume, which goes from 0 to 10. This is by no means a 100-watt type of stereo system. It probably puts out maybe 10, 15 watts, but for a small space like a bedroom or a dorm room or a small apartment, it puts out plenty enough volume. Above that we have what is known as the tone button. Just for saving of space on this machine, they went with a tone button, which basically, if you go all the way over this way, brings you your highs. Middle is basically like having nothing on, and then of course you got -5, which is cutting off your treble quite a bit to the point where you don't really hear no treble. I usually keep it all the way up here because I do like treble along with my bass. And up here is a button that's radio on or off. If it's in the inner section the way it is right now, the radio comes on. If you push it out, there's a little button here that says radio off. That allows you to listen to other things besides the radio. First up, this is kind of revolutionary for the time and might even blow some people's minds these days, but if you push this blue button here, that slides out and there's your cassette. You just take your cassette, slide it in like that, hit this button again, push it in, and then you push your play or whatever you want to do to play it. The tape player does work on this machine, although it doesn't have any fancy lights to show you that it is working, so I won't even bother turning it on. If you don't want to listen to the cassette, voila, you can open this up and you've got a record player here too. The record player does work. It is a semi-automatic, which means you need to put the needle on the record itself. It'll start up as soon as you move it over. Put the record on there, and at the end of the record, it'll eject back to the original position all by itself. Over here is the speed selector. Right now it's on 33 because I'm playing an album, but it also has the 45 speed to play the little 45s. As you can see, there's a little cutout in the back of the thing there. That's because when you put this down, it allows the record to be spinning around, and if you were to go to the back, you would see a little bit of the record sticking out. And it works just fine. It has really good sound to it. The one other thing that's amazing about this particular model, and not a lot of them had it in this price point or this type of a system, is it has spring-loaded speaker wire jacks on the back instead of your standard RCA, which a lot of these type of things had on it, and that allowed you to very seriously limit the kind of speakers you use. You'd have to use a speaker that has just a RCA jack on it and plug it in to be able to hear speakers. I will go around to the back of this machine right now and I will show you what I mean. As you can see, there are the speaker jacks there for accepting regular speaker wire, and that makes it much more versatile. And as you can see here, that's where the antennas go, and there are no antennas hooked up right now. I've never really had to put an antenna on there, but if I did, I can only imagine how many more stations I might get. And like I said, here's part of the record sticking out, because this is a very compact machine and it doesn't weigh much, but for its size, it does weigh fairly good, fairly hefty. So it's of good build quality. Even though the outer case is all plastic, it still has quite a bit of heft to it, so it must have some metal in the inside. I'll come back around to the back now, into the front. As you can see, this machine has a few scratches and scuffs here and there, so it's been well used over its almost 40 years, but that doesn't detract from the fact that it's still working perfectly. If you're into getting a system quite like this, you wouldn't be disappointed. I'm still amazed by it every time I play it, and you can get them for fairly cheap. If you go onto eBay, you can find them somewhere around $50 or so. Sometimes they'll have the original speakers with them. Sometimes they sell them without them, but it's well worth it for the price. You can't hardly go wrong with that kind of a price point. Of course, you're going to pay for shipping and handling, what's going to add more cost to it, but for base price, you're not going to find really another system like this that you can get for that kind of money. So that's what I have for you today. As you'll notice here, this is dark, and that's by design. It was never meant to light up. It never has lit up. And right here, like with the old Marantz type of tuners, it has the dial wheel that you push either way back or forth to change channels. And then this here is like a wheel, and it'll go back and forth also with telling you what station you're on. It does come with a microphone jack so that you can record onto a cassette if you so desire to dictate. And it also comes with the standard, at that time, 1/4-inch headphone jack, so you can plug headphones into it, or any other kind of combination of things that you might want to put into there. So that is my review of this wonderful little piece of history. And if you like what you see, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please feel free to like or dislike it, but I hope you like it. And please feel free to link this to whoever you'd like to on whatever phone or social media link you'd like to, so that other people can watch this video. And have a nice day, and thank you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.